racing?
I was thinking about that the other day, but I think it was around 65. I raced 1 year before that with Barry Stanley in his Corvette in Calgary. Exactly. We raced at the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any memories of racing out at the airport?
Well, yeah, I raced a black 61 Chevrolet bubble top.
Okay.
I owned it at that time, and it ran 16.2.
And that was your first?
That was my first driving in drag racing.
Okay. How primitive were the facilities out at the airport?
They weren't that primitive, you know. We had clocks and everything. So we had the electronic gear, you know, the Christmas tree, and so that was actually fairly modern at that time.
Okay, so it was pretty much on par with what the NHRA Safety Safari was doing around the same time with their setups in the States and everything, right?
Probably, yeah. I don't know what they had for timing equipment, but usually the tracks own their own, you know.
Okay. So what class did you run that first time?
I'm not sure. It was stock eliminator,
Okay.
you know, so
Eventually, what was the progression for you? So you started in stock eliminator. Did you jump up a class when the Speedway was built, or kind of
well,
stayed at that
no,
class?
I bought a 57 Chev
Okay.
and built it. And it was K stock or L stock or something like that.
Okay. When did you first start racing at Speedway Park?
Halfway through the first year.
Okay. And the first year was
67, I think.
67?
Yeah.
Okay. Was any memories of the first year of the track? You know, problems. Was there any problems with the track getting off the ground? Of organizational skills?
Oh, there was all kinds of it.
Oh yeah.
But that was out of my league, you know. I was just a racer.
Was the CCHRA really influential in getting the track built back in '67?
I don't know how influential it was, but I think they did a lot. You know, I was a member of CCHRA at the time,
Okay.
and they did a lot. They did a lot for drag racing back in those years.
Okay. Thoughts on Speedway Park as a whole? How was the whole experience racing there in the '70s with the Prospector car and your competitors?
Well, we had probably the best stock eliminator group around. You know, Gary Johnson, I remember this particularly, qualified 32nd with his stock eliminator car, and all those cars all the way through from number 1 to number 32 were all stock eliminator cars. So there was a real good bunch of guys.
So they were really, the fields were really tightly qualified, I guess.
They were, yeah, they were. There was a lot of classes. I don't know if there was, you know, that much more now than there was then, but there was a lot of stock eliminator guys.
Okay. My next question here I've written down is any G-rated stories you can tell us about racing at Speedway?
No, nothing like that ever
Nothing like
happened.
Favorite memory of Speedway Park?
All of it.
All of it?
Yeah. We didn't realize what a wonderful race facility we had back. You know, it was just dumped on us, you know. So it's after you look back and see, you know, once it was gone, then we realized what we had, you know.
Okay. How did you feel the day when you heard the news that Speedway closed down?
Well, I had quit racing at that time, so it didn't really bother me at all.
Did it? I imagine it bothered some of your former competitors that you raced against and some of your friends out there and that stuff. What were they saying? What were some of the stories you were hearing from them?
Well, there was a lot of, unhappy guys, race cars that were parked, but the business in the city just dropped. The high performance business really took a kicking.
Okay. You were retired during most of the 80s, so my next question was, what did you do during the 80s when there was no track in Edmonton? Did you just get into storing vehicles? Or?
No, I just got into running my own business.
Okay.
And it was really, really busy at that time, so we concentrated on Mageau's.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you heard that the new track was opening south of town, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, at first we weren't too excited about it because there was certain people involved in it that were not liked. So I didn't have much to do with it until we started racing again.
How is it racing with your son, getting involved with his team?
Oh, it's a terrible chore. No, he's okay. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be racing. I'm too old now.
What about the fans? The fans during the 70s at the Speedway, what were they like?
They were great. They were really, really good.
I heard a story somewhere that I think Speedway during the 70s held the record for Canadian strips for their attendance, like from 74 to 76 or 78, somewhere with like...
I'm sure.
Some insane number of sellouts. I think it was something like 13 or 14 sellouts in a row for events and that stuff that they had at the track.
That could be. All I know is there was a lot of fans over on that left side.
Was that like watching the old films and that stuff? The left side of the track, that was pretty much where everybody. That was the spectator seating.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit up on top of the pit boxes.
Yeah, that's usually the pit people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it, like the track surface itself back in the 70s? Was it tricky to run on, or was it like abrasive, or was it really, could you get a good bite with your car on?
We could leave the start line. It had heaves, that track, and they were 3/4 track, and the dragsters and that, you could be going a pretty good mile an hour when you hit that, and that was really hard to control them after they hit that bump, or heave.
Did you see any, I imagine you did, was there any like big wrecks with any of the big names that would come up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some that crashed pretty good, and a couple of funny cars crashed, and me and Jerry Polak pushed one of the funny cars over on its wheels so the driver could get out. They was stuck. He was laying there head down, and
It's safe to say that safety is definitely improved from the 70s to now, correct?
yes,
Yeah, a lot better safety standards, right?
it has improved. Could be a lot better yet.
Still a long way to go. Well, yeah, still a long way to go, I guess. Drag racing isn't going to be probably the safest. Like, it's not safe by nature, but you can make it probably a lot safer now. Like, if we look back like 20 years from now on this, and take a look at some of the safety standards that they have now, we'll be like, well, that's kind of dinosaur, like archaic.
Yeah. Well, our safety people are good. They really do a good job. But I think they could use some better equipment, and we run a nitro car now, so you become more aware of what's available and what isn't.
Okay. That's pretty much all I have here for questions. I'm just trying to think there's one more thing I want to ask you. Oh, from a veteran from a veteran standpoint like yours, how has the IHRA national event revitalized the track and the fans that are coming out there?
I think it has. It's revitalized the racetrack itself, because they made them level it, and the fans. I mean, they pack them in there like crazy.
How the drama of these championship chases just sucks you in. We've got nothing at stake, and yet you're emotionally wrung out when it's all done. What a ride.
Ormsby has red lighted. He has left too soon. The championship is Joe Amato's.
Tony Schumacher wins the race, runs 4:42, sets the national record, and Tony Schumacher completes one of the most astounding comebacks in drag racing history.
Jeff LaHaye is the last to stage, the way he likes it in the rock. Joe Amato has problems. Jeff LaHaye heads to the finish line and is the world champion.
Taylor gets way over by the wall, and she gets up on her side. She got the chutes out, straightened the car out, and it is sliding on its side. Taylor Vedder goes for a wild ride. Her wind light is on.
Corey Mack, and they're all in. This is it. Bernstein is riding a rocket. 314 miles per hour. Too soon, he is disqualified. Gary Ormsby will be the top fuel champion. Joe Amato just uttered disgust.
Jerry's bike shuts off. Andrew Hines is the champion of Pro Stock Motorcycle. Gianna Salinas gets her first victory, and the wildest day in the history of this category is finally complete.
Blaine Johnson has won his first title, and oh my, look at this. He picks Larry Dixon's pocket for 50 grand.
So win like the Tony Pedregon, the champion.
For the first time in 13 years, Team Force is defeated. And Gary Selsey is your new Funny Car champion.
He is picking up speed. Even though the parachutes are out, he is going into the sand trap. Oh my, a disaster for Corey McLennan.
It's a beautiful autumn afternoon in Southern California as we're alongside the San Gabriel Mountains for the final event of the National Hot Rod Association season.